guys, what's up and welcome to building the Battle of Kashyyyk in LEGO week 1. Guys, I'm absolutely ecstatic to bring this series to you guys. I've been planning and getting all the parts and pieces, everything we're gonna need to build the best and most accurate version of Kashyyyk from Revenge of the Sith, the Battle of Kashyyyk that we see for like a few minutes in the film. Ever since I saw that scene of all the hundreds of Wookiees and clones and droids all fighting on that beachfront, making a Star Wars D-Day, I knew I had to give it justice on a scale that I really want to bring to life in this mock. Now again, big shout out to Zach who helped me out with that intro. As you saw at the very beginning, a full kind of animated to life version of the little bit of the first sequence of the Battle of Kashyyyk that we do see in Revenge of the Sith. Absolutely love that, and will be the introduction to our series thus far. And guys, this will be a new series that will be coming out mostly every week on this channel. If you want to make sure to be subscribed to see the ultimate Battle of Kashyyyk mock. Now, of course, what will be actually a part of this mock? Now, here is our blank slate of a 5x8 base plate mock. This is going to be absolutely ginormous and is going to be the foundation for everything we're going to build for the Battle of Kashyyyk. Here's kind of an aerial view, giving you the true kind of scale of what this is going to look like. Now, there's 3 major parts to what we're going to do with this mock. That being the ocean where the droid forces are coming from, the huge beach, and the massive Wookiee tree. But now let's kind of lay out what I have in store for this whole layout of the mock. And here we have the main layout of somewhat what this is going to look like overall. So when I went ahead and actually added the beach shoreline here going all the way across, and as well as adding the base layer for the water. Now the water is going to be on this kind of sand green color, kind of giving more of, because it's like a lagoon, so it's kind of more a murky kind of green water. So that's what I kind of added here. And what I'm going to do is add a bunch of translucent tile on this. That'd be really, really cool. And also like different explosions in the water and splashes and all sorts of stuff going on throughout the whole water area where the droid forces will be rushing up to the actual beach here, which is kind of vastly huge. Like it comes all the way to here, kind of comes up. As you can kind of see here, I try to get as close as I can to the actual reference material from the beach itself. Kind of comes and slopes over and goes all the way, kind of jagged through like a beach does, and comes all the way over here and kind of cuts up through here, which there's off screen or off the baseboard, off the base plate here is where the stream actually comes up off the side. So that is like the main outline, what the beach looks like, and it looks so cool. And I just can't wait to actually start building more and more of this. Oh, and I added a little bit of, this is a little baby build of not what I'm gonna be using. This came in the like little ATRT set, the 20th anniversary, and a little build here of kind of what idea of what the beach will look like, but very basic, and just kind of sitting there with a Wookiee as well, ready to go into battle. But here we have the idea, or the very loose concept of what the actual tree is going to look like. As you can see here from the reference images, it kind of slopes up from the top over here, kind of comes over like this, and kind of comes out a little more jaggedy, and then full on kind of slides over, and then you have this big root piece coming on over here. So this is going to be an absolutely ginormous tree with something like a scale I've never built before. So this is gonna be absolutely incredible. And inside the tree here is gonna go all the way up over here, and then inside is gonna be different kind of Wookiee houses in the actual center of it that we're gonna try to implement, because there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes through that whole aspect of the Wookiee tree. And then the rest is just a vast beach of the actual battle scene. And as well, there's going to be all sorts of like little huts and little details of like, this will be raised up a ton. And there's going to be all sorts of little details with like the stairs coming up here, and smaller Wookiee huts kind of all spread out throughout here as well. And the tree is going to be several feet tall. So this is kind of what I'm actually thinking about, at least kind of the shaping of the tree and how big it's going to be, taking up probably a third of Kashyyyk here, which is kind of my main plan, because this is going to be the major project of getting this almost like, not totally minifigure scale, because I think the minifigure scale is probably like 12 feet tall, but at least like maybe 6 feet tall, maybe like a 6 feet tall tree, which is something that I just can't wait to actually start building more on. Now I've gone through and added actual like depth of the main kind of wet shoreline going across the whole shore here, and it looks incredible so far. Just kind of getting the kind of wet sand look for the main area, and I actually started prototyping what the sand will kind of lead up to in the wet sand and the actual like dry sand up on the beach here, as well as the water. So as you can see right here, I use a different kind of strategies of kind of getting this regular kind of tile I have right here, the regular clear, just kind of translucent tile, kind of building it up, and then to the kind of 2x2 plates of the translucent color, and adding a really cool effect where it looks like the water is actually coming up upon the beach here, and I really like that. Kind of leveling out. I also have a lot of dark tan wedge plates kind of going through here, and then leading up to the actual like light tan wedge plates into the tile. Since I'm gonna have it mainly, the beach be mainly a tile look, so it's gonna have a bunch of regular tile with like when the sand is kind of not roughed up, but when there are roughed up little details, there'll be like footprints and explosions and all sorts of stuff, like ridges where the sand will go up and down, because it's definitely not just a flat beach for Kashyyyk. But I'm really liking how this strategy is working so far, kind of getting the kind of little edge details out on for the main shoreline, because that's what I'm kind of doing, just kind of mapping everything out. Then we'll get into like the main meat of the details and everything like that. But kind of wanted to show you my kind of thought process of kind of making the beach here. So there'll definitely be waves going up through all the shoreline and getting the wedge plates, kind of giving it the little layers of a look, and then we'll be able to build up the beach going up layer by layer, and it's gonna look super sick. But let's get back to work on the actual shoreline here and kind of getting that mainly completed before we can continue to work on the main Battle of Kashyyyk. So as you saw there, I've been working on a lot of the wedge plates and stuff that's gonna go across the like wet sand here, and I've decided that I'm actually going to make it like a couple layers higher of just like the wet sand, as you kind of start right here and kind of work our way up. So I have plenty of wedges right here still I can use, and like I'm not gonna be using them really in a lot of other places in the mock, so I'm gonna start using that and go up even more layers, kind of give it a kind of rising look to the beach. I think it was gonna look really awesome so far. Now here we go, guys. I've gone through and I've added that second layer, and I think it just adds a whole nother aspect to the actual like wet sand part of the shoreline, and it looks so good. And I'm really loving how this is turning out. Just kind of adding the slight variation of like the wedge plates to the other wedge plates, kind of give it a little variation where it's like one stud off, and I think it looks very nice going on throughout the entire build here. Coming all the way to like the more the jagged shoreline, coming on this side, and all the way over on the other side of the shore, coming on with another jagged part right here, going all the way down, and just loving how it's looking so far. But now it's kind of time to get the actual sand, the regular tan sand, on to the first initial part here. Just kind of get a layout of how we want it to look, kind of rushing in. But the other thing we're gonna have to consider is there's gonna be a lot of battle damage and tanks running up on to the actual mock here, which is gonna add little tread details and battle damage and stuff like that. We're gonna have to make sure to include in this. So we're gonna have to really think ahead of what we want this to look like. But yep, time to work more on the actual sand part. So I've started to work on the actual sand beach area over here, and I kind of wanted to show you all my process of how I'm kind of thinking through this entire situation here. So as you can see, here is kind of the tile look that I'm gonna try to go for here, which I think looks really nice and smooth. As you can see, I'm using a wide variety of 2x2 tile, 1x2 tile, and the little jumper plates, as well as 2x2 tile, and a bunch of wedge plates. They're gonna be the next layer of sand up. As you can see, I'm going all the way down here, trying to get kind of how I want the actual next layer of sand to look. And then I'll do the same thing for the next one, and the next one, trying to figure out the layers of actual sand, because I know I want to make it really dense and not just like all flat. And kind of what I'm going through here is all my pieces I get to use, and I have sorted here, which I think looks really awesome. Got all my wedge plates here, jumper plates, all this tile,
and then as well as like 2x2 tile, all the things I'm gonna need for regular. Actually building up the mock itself. Underneath is this gray brick built up with 2 plates and then the wedge pieces, and they'll gradually be built up even more throughout the whole mock here, which is, oh my goodness, it may not look like a lot, but even doing one section and having to do it all the way down this table is just gonna take forever, but it's so much fun and I'm loving it. Let me know, guys, what y'all think about this technique. I saw this kind of used as like sand a while ago. Like, man, I love that look. And if there's any kind of battle damage or walking, there's not gonna be too much walking of soldiers or anything over here, since it's kind of like at least for this little bit, there's not gonna be a battle going on here. But once we get more into the middle, there'll be like footprints and like battle damage, explosions and stuff like that. So let me get back to working on the actual sand part and kind of seeing how we're gonna make this work. So it's the next day and I've made some tremendous progress on the overall like first layer of the beaches of Kashyyyk. And as you can see here, it is looking pretty awesome. And I have the main little like layout, as you can see here. I'm kind of just getting the like main like second layer of the actual like regular sand kind of outlined here throughout all the wedge plates and like tile and stuff, which is looking quite nice all the way up through here, all the way up to the end. And I'm gonna do a little time lapse of me figuring all this out. Gonna fill this all in with tile and everything else to try to make it all full, at least for the first full layer of the sand. But I'm really loving how this beach is turning out thus far. And I've also put out these little cylinder pieces here that are going to be the pole pieces for the Kashyyyk like platforms that are going to go all up throughout this side and all the way throughout this side of the mock. Not exactly where I'm gonna put them, just kind of getting a general layout, because this is kind of what I have. I got 300 pieces of these right here, and I'm gonna be stacking them up just like this. And it creates a perfect pole piece, because people usually make these brown, but if you actually look as like references, like from Revenge of the Sith or like either Battlefront 2, there are definitely like a silvery color of like metal. So definitely gonna use these, and I think it works absolutely perfect for those. But we'll get into that stuff much later on. But right now we're kind of focusing on the main terrain and kind of building the like main first layer of what Kashyyyk is going to be, because it's going to be built up pretty high. And then because we're going to have to definitely build up the tree on like a big platform as well. Get into that. But let's kind of get into the rest of the first initial layer of the beach and finish it off. Now, guys, I'm back and I have completed the first phase of the beach here, and I want to show every little detail I've worked on, and even working on the second stage. But as you can see here, from all the way to the left, you can kind of see the first stage, at least the first part of the sand is complete over here, and we're kind of getting started on the other part here in a second, which we'll get to in a little bit. And then if you go all the way over here, the other part of the actual shoreline is complete and looks really awesome. But there's actually a lot of detail that's going on, at least in this first little bit, which is just the beginning. Then we have this explosion right here, where it's coming in from like one of the droid tanks, or maybe Republic forces kind of firing on the beach here. We have these like ice cream pieces that look like smoke if you're gonna stack them on. I love that detail with kind of the black sand that's been charred and everything. Got a lot of other details where the sand has kind of been blown up. Now, as you can see over here, these are some other pieces that look like tread marks in the sand. If you kind of bring up the Corporate Alliance tank here, it matches perfectly right there, and there'll be tread marks where all the tanks will be going up on to the actual beachhead. So this Corporate Alliance tanks will actually be up further up into the beach, so there'll be more of these little tread marks in the sand. But I wanted to add little details like that. And additionally, there'll be also like footprints and stuff for all the soldiers and minifigures and Wookiees and droids and stuff like that. And there's also an additional tread mark over here where another tank will be coming up. There'll be at least like 5 to 10 in that range corporate alliance tanks in this, but we'll have to wait and see. A majority of them will be in the water and a few will be up on the actual shore. But really loving how this first stage has kind of come together in the first week of building the Battle of Kashyyyk in Lego. But if we go over here, we actually have started, or I kind of started getting the layout of how I want the actually the second kind of layer to actually work for the beach. I built up these big 16 by 16 plates that make it really sturdy and complete for this actual section. And this part will be filled in, and they'll kind of go all the way down to the other side, which is going to take so much blade and everything, but then this will be, of course, tiled off with a bunch of other details. And eventually we'll go up into the tree here, where there'll actually be a lot more like different vegetation and stuff. They'll be going into like an olive green color, and then dark green color, and then the actual Wookiee tree, which will be kind of elevated a lot more than just what it's on right here, which is kind of a basic outline of what we want to look like. So I think I'm going to continue to work on the actual mock here. Gonna try to get as much as I can done, at least on this section for this week, but absolutely loving how Kashyyyk is looking so far. Super huge, and I'm so pumped to work on this, guys, but let me get back to work and I'll see you in a second. And here we have Luminar Unduli leading 4 Kashyyyk scout troopers on the newly kind of formed area that I've been working on, and will be the last little bit I think I'm going to be able to get to this week. But I'm really happy with the progress we made. As you can see here, I have kind of built up the second layer of the sand, and will lead up to the third here. And then kind of leading up, at least to the tree part, we're gonna have different variety of colors leading up to the tree. Just giving you an idea here. We have the olive green, and then we'll go up to the dark green, and then the dark green will be kind of surrounding the tree, getting up to the dark brown, and the brown all the way up to the massive, like several feet tall tree, probably like 6 feet tall once we get to it. But yeah, that's kind of what we'll do, kind of leading up probably in the next week. We'll kind of start working up our way and trying to figuring out what this will look like up into the tree, and continuing the main beach line into more like the battle trenches, the Wookiee like barricades and barriers, all sorts of stuff like that, adding more battle damage, because over here, not too much of the battle's going on, so it's kind of more like not really battle damage whatsoever. But so this will be like the more battle damage area up through the middle. But absolutely loving, this is just looking so crazy, and I love the Battle of Kashyyyk, and I just can't wait to bring it to life in Lego form for you guys. But yeah, this is gonna be it for week 1. But if y'all have any more suggestions of what I should add and other different elements, you can add also a little sneak peek right there, kind of working on some other things for the Wookiee platforms. But yeah, guys, let's go out to the outro, and we'll talk about more what's gonna be coming up in next week's episode.
So guys, that is going to be it for the first official week of building the Battle of Kashyyyk in Lego. I've had so much fun and a blast starting to build this massive diorama that I'm so excited about. Guys, let me know what you're most excited about down below, continuing with the Building Kashyyyk series. Next week, we're going to be continuing on to of course, the main beach, and kind of forming up the ground where we're going to start at least the first initial layers of the tree, and much more, being like the battle details in the trench and all sorts of stuff like that. But yeah, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to be back here next Friday for the next episode. See y'all next time.